so that they're cheaper and they can afford to buy 3 or 4 pairs instead of just one pair.
Okay, so we'll get deep into this because obviously we've got seasonality and stuff like that. But it's interesting your take on eyewear. So I know you're a mum. That's very clear. You've got 2 lovely children. I'm right. It's 2, isn't it? It's not 3. Good.
Just 2.
Yeah, just the 2 boys. And basically, you've gone into a market. Where did the idea come from? Like, there's a few ideas in there, right? It's very specifically targeted at mums. So let's go into that reason why those styles are for mums and not just all women, right? As an example. And what's with the multiple pairs, etc., etc. So let's start with the concept of idea. When did it start, and what was the idea behind both of those angles in terms of positioning your brand?
Okay, I get this question all the time. I was a hairstylist when I started the brand. So they say, why did you end up with sunglasses? My oldest plays all the sports. So we're at sports events every single weekend. And it kind of got comical. Moms would come up to me and say, where did you get your sunglasses? Where did you get your sunglasses? And I think it had been 5 tournaments in a row. And we got in the car and Justin said, why aren't you selling sunglasses? You're making all these sales for people on Amazon. Why don't you just do it? Because as you know, Danny, we have a couple of Amazon brands. So we know how to source any type of product and put your brand on it and all that good stuff. So I said, okay, but if I do it, I wanted to do Shopify and not Amazon. Sunglasses are a very, very big market on Amazon, and it's hard to compete with the Chinese suppliers that come in. So I decided that I would find the product and source 8 styles, and I started them in our spare bedroom and decided to learn Shopify. And the reason everyone loved them at the baseball games was because they didn't want to pay the big price, but they wanted them to look like they were really expensive. And those were the kinds that I always ended up finding places. So that's just kind of how I got started. I saw that there was a need and people were wanting them. And instead of making sales for other people, I started my own brand.
Excellent. So we're kind of determined that the mums liked them. So you're definitely onto something there. Interesting. Are you on Amazon yet, or is this purely still Shopify to this day?
So still just Shopify. We talked about doing Amazon, but I'm really enjoying learning Shopify. That was a big thing for both Justin and I when I started talking about it. And I said, I don't want to do Amazon. He loved the idea too, because Shopify's margins are just so much better without the Amazon fees and less returns and things like that we've seen compared to our Amazon company. So still just Shopify.
Excellent. And what year did we start this? Not we, but you.
Launched in October of 2019. And so I guess this October will come up on 3 years. Is that right? Yeah,
excellent. Like and do you mind mentioning revenue? Have you hit mid 6 figures or are you at 7 figures yet? Bearing in mind it's Shopify, it's a lot harder to get going on there. We're going to get into that in a moment. But
right. So we are mid 6 figures.
Yeah. But obviously, because the margins are so good, if you were on Amazon doing the low end of 7, 1.5 or something, it'll either be similar or you'll still be generating more margins, would you say, on Shopify?
Right. So our margins for all of last year were 27%. And we've already seen this year, just for what are we in, 7 months now, they're up to 40%.
Yeah.
So it just keeps getting better and better.
All right. So let's break this down. So you started 2019, you started with 8 different styles.
Yes.
Where was you able to put your price point? Like you said, it gives people the opportunities. There's a couple of things I want to pick up on here. You mentioned that they can have multiple pairs. Was it meaning that instead of buying Ray-Bans or whatever style brand, maybe $200, $300, $400, what are your unit price for these? And does people normally buy them in packs of, you buy this one and you get this pair for half price? Or how did you market that side without down in the brand name? Do you see what I mean? Because they look expensive, right? They look good, but you don't want to make it seem like a flea market where you're going, you can have these for a tenner, we'll give you these for 15. How did you overcome that but still get the affordability?
So obviously pictures. I started out, and you kind of know, I did a talk with you about micro influencers. So women my age, older, younger, whatever, women love seeing other people wear it and then they want it. So I wanted to start out with a price a little bit higher. Everything we have right now is under $40, but most of the time they're going to get a 15% off coupon, a 5% off coupon. Any type of coupon is going to make a woman, because I know how that feels, valued by, I'm getting a deal, right? Like, I'm getting even if it's just 5% off. I never thought about it of the way like it's going to be too cheap. I'll discount things if I, need to clearance those out to start another style. I've never considered it like a flea market, and I don't mind them being cheaper. And I don't mind people saying like, oh, these look nice, but they're cheap. Like that word does not.
My point in there, we know that because I've seen a lot of the promotion and stuff. I've seen ads. I've seen even with Kata and various different people wearing the glasses, right? So they don't look cheap, and it doesn't come across cheap. My point was, how do you avoid being in the pool of the cheap sunglasses, the affordable sunglasses, without taking the sheen off? Do you see what I mean? Because I imagine
I think that's just where the brand name comes in. It's something that girls are going to see other people wearing, and then you do get to know the brand, but you know that if you can't afford a $300 pair of sunglasses, then you can come over to Daxx and you are able to get 5 pairs for that price.
Yeah. Okay. And does people normally buy them? When you look at your stats on Shopify, what's your average basket size when it comes to the glasses? Do they often check out on one pair, or do they buy multiples?
It's usually about 3. But we actually started wholesaling the sunglasses. That's a whole nother story. Wholesale has actually taken over my market about 70% of my sales. So I had and like I said, in 2019, I started working with micro influencers and really just pushing traffic to my Shopify store in that way. And Instagram changed a lot, and it's way harder to get a hold of people, have them actually see your message, no matter what type of profile that it's coming from. So a girlfriend in my town, she owns a boutique, and she started wholesaling the glasses in her boutique. People could actually try them on. It's a big seller for those.
Of course,
And I was able to help her start a company marketing to boutique owners for a product that she was looking for. And she started going to what's called Dallas Market. So if you've ever been to Canton Fair, it's obviously not that large, but it's something very big in Dallas, kind of like that, where there's all these different vendors that these boutiques come in and look at and they buy from you.
Right.
So she talked me into going with her. And that is where I think Daxx has really just exploded in the market of boutiques having a pair of glasses that looks very expensive. Obviously, they come with all kinds of things in the box. They don't just come in a sleeve like you get from Amazon, shipped in a poly bag, thrown around, on a truck somewhere.
Yeah.
And so that's really taken over a lot of my market. But general sales, three pairs, I guess, is what they're buying if they're going to buy just off the website.
The reason I asked that, because there is the fact of when you are getting started on Shopify, because a lot of people will attempt to do it, and some will spend 150K on it. By the time they spent money on marketing, getting your SEO plan in place, your conversion optimization plan, if you go out of house to do the build of the website, there's so much to do versus a marketplace that has the deliverables of customers. Yes, you pay through the arse for fees and stuff, but you've got a ready-made market. Whereas on Shopify, you've got to make your own market, right? You've got to bring them there. They've got to be qualified traffic that comes to your site, not just any old traffic. So obviously you've got your customer acquisition costs, but you don't necessarily have the benefits of it being a consumable where, supplements or replaceable, baby cloths, et cetera, which is bought on a monthly or a 60-day period. So getting started with that, what was it like in the beginning in terms of your traffic, 2 visits a day, 4 visits a day? What did you put in place for Daxx in terms of your SEO, in terms of growing?
So the first 2 years, like I said, micro influencers was everything I did. I wasn't really having to pay them much. I came up with this whole system of I wasn't going to pay them unless they made me a certain amount of money. That it didn't do the influencers that, I'm going to charge you $5,000 for one post. And you have no idea if their audience is even going to like your brand or not.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for the first 2 years. But really after that, and I love that you mentioned consumables. No, technically sunglasses are not a consumable. But when you have a price point like mine, if they're dropped, scratched, your kids do this thing where they put them on and break the side pieces off, all kinds of things can happen. The price point kind of does make them a consumable. So the customer is not worried about losing them and then just getting on your website and buying another pair.
Yeah. So they may churn through 2 pairs a year, for instance.
Yes. We've seen more repeat customers with this business than we ever did with our baby brand. Like you said, crib sheets or something, they can rewash them and keep using them until they literally just fall apart, which if you made them well enough, You don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But sunglasses, you lose them on the lake. You lose them off the side of your car. You forget you left them at someone's house and you made them cheap enough that they're able to come back and buy those same 3 pairs or a different 3 pairs. So it does make it a little bit more consumable.
Yeah. So how does the seasonality work for you? Obviously, there's 3 key months of the year for most countries where you get really good sunshine in the essence of wearing sunglasses, not just the sun's out. What's the seasonality like for you? And do people also buy them with gifts as well and stuff like that at Christmas?
Yeah, so they actually do very well in November, December. October is a little slower. I guess that is seasonality, but there's not really a huge, these 6 months are terrible and these are great. November and December can be awesome. Usually January and February is a little bit slower, but since we've done market, being able to wholesale them to boutiques and they're running through them in their shops, it's stayed very consistent. I mean, we've hit, we'll grow we've already grown 100% this year over last year, only in this last 7 months. Wow. So wholesaling has really turned my company completely upside down and it's just been booming and I'm so thankful.
So let's go a bit more into the wholesaling. You said there's boutiques and stuff taking on. What kind of consignment are they taking on? They taking on 15, 20 pairs and there's a stand in the store for them to try on and then they're reordering a low amount of units. Whereabouts are you with that?
Right. So when my friend Kim, she's the one that had the brick and mortar boutique in our town, she asked if she could start wholesaling them in her boutique. And I said, yes. She was running through them fairly quickly. And she asked me to go to Dallas Market with her. And I said, okay, but I wanted to keep it. I've always wanted to keep Daxx the way I felt valued as a shopper because I am our customer, right? So I decided I was going to make it very easy for smaller boutiques to be able to get into the market. There are some bigger brands, and I'm not going to say their names, but bigger brands that were pretty much kicking all of them out with $15K minimums, $5,000 for a stand that they must keep, just trying to get rid of all of those, they say lower ticket sales for them, but for me, I got all of their business. So there were boutiques out there looking for something that they could only start with 10, 15 units instead of $15,000 in product and switch up the styles per season. So that's what keeps them selling for the boutiques as well. You're not stuck with the hot pink style that you bought in the summer because it didn't sell. You've already sold through those and now you can change into the fall colors that also match the fall outfits that are in your boutique.
Gotcha. Okay, so there's obviously, I didn't think of it from the contrast. It's like fashion. Fashion has cycles of season, right? But I didn't realize with the glasses as well is that you can, obviously you're going to match them to clothing, et cetera, but I didn't think of that process there of there's the styles for the season. There's less seasonality because they're worn often more year round. So you've got quite a steady turnover other than a few months of the year rather than having a windfall for, spring and then summer and then it drops off in the autumn. Right. So what's the plan in terms of how many SKUs and stuff or styles and stuff have you got at the moment?
Oh my goodness. I think right now we have 130 SKUs.
Wow.
I don't even know how many styles to tell you, but around 130. We're growing super fast. We were just able to 1 year ago put everything into a warehouse. And another part of Daxx that I love, I'm really big on moms helping moms or entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. Justin loves helping people as well. So like my stands come from another lady in our town. She makes all of my acrylic stands. So I'm able to help her out. And then my stuff is warehoused with another friend, and that's able to help her pay for her 4,000 square foot warehouse, plus her employees ship our things. So I'm able to help all of these people within my town just with this small company that's grown big at this point, which I'm very happy with. But just keep growing it. But 150, I guess, 130.
So I think we're between you and Justin, you're running 8 figures, aren't you, in terms of all of the brands? The other 2 Amazon brands are larger. How does that fit into the equation with the day-to-day of the other 2 brands you're running that are more focused on Amazon?
So even when I started Daxx, I wanted it to be Shopify because I wanted it to be something I was learning and he didn't have to give much thought to. He didn't really have a whole lot of time to give at that point. Yeah. He was working with our baby company. We actually sold that one in 2020. So now we have one Amazon brand and then we also have Daxx. But the crazy thing, so market is 5 times a year and it's a 5-day event. And really the rest of the year, I maybe spend 5 hours a week, maybe 10 if I get inventory in that I need to take to the warehouse. But that's all that it takes me, and I'm able to do that. So
Excellent. And so what's the, obviously you said you've got a lot of products there, but what's the process of your sourcing process? Because obviously you've got a lot of styles and designs. Are you putting your personal touch? Is it off the shelf? How does that actually work? That whole, you obviously got your sourcing down of where you buy, which is stable from, you got the steady factories where they come from. But what's the process in terms of your product development?
So for me, same thing. I look everywhere we go at what women are wearing and if there seems to be a trend that's coming in, and then I will definitely try to put my own spin on it, whether it's changing the size, changing the color. Our supplier is able to do all of that for us. And then they send me tons and tons of samples, obviously, all the time. But really just looking around. Market helps with that too, because I have these boutique owners that have bought from me many, many times at this point. And I'll ask them when they come in the booth, hey, what are you seeing? What's selling well in your boutique? What's not moving? And that helps me adjust immediately instead of looking at an email list. Like a lot of people build a list or they build a Facebook page and you don't know how credible the information is. Is it just that one person that didn't like the style? These are boutique owners that are seeing what's actually moving in their store. Like, did they have 10? Did they sell within a week? Did these just sit there and no one liked them? So that helps me majorly with picking new products.
Yeah. What's the future now going forward? You've grown Daxx mid six figures, as you said. Where do you see Daxx going, and what's the plan in the next 2-3 years of what you can share?
Oh my goodness. I hope to just continue to grow it. I enjoy it so much. Everyone keeps asking me if I'm going to look into selling it in the next few years, but I have loved also that my 2 boys are getting older and they've seen it grow in a different way than our Amazon brand, right? Because when you buy things from Amazon, they don't typically come to your house. The kids don't see the product. The kids just see daddy in an office working, don't really know what he's doing. With Daxx, they've been able to watch me get product in one of our guest rooms, go to our garage where it was full to the ceiling and they couldn't, play around the inventory because I didn't want them ruining things. And then our oldest helped me move it into our big warehouse that we have now. So I like that they've been able to see it grow, and I kind of want them to continue to see that and to see the work that's been put in. Daxx was also named after my kids. So it's just like a big...
That's your eldest, isn't it?
My oldest is Dash, so that's the
Dash.
D.
Sorry,
The youngest one, his middle name's Anthony, so that was the A. And then Justin and I have been married 10 years, so that was X when I started the company. So it's got a little bit of each of my boys, so it would be hard to sell, but I'm still enjoying it until I don't enjoy it anymore. Yeah.
Excellent. And so let's talk a little bit about Shopify getting going, right? So massive shift from Amazon. If you've never done an online store off of a marketplace, whole new world of pain and a lot more involved. So everything you did was around micro influencers. You didn't run any Facebook ads and do lots of SEO and stuff, content?
No, not really. I mean, I might post a video of myself trying on a few different pairs. But really, I started with the word of mouth around our town. I was obviously a hairstylist for the first 6 months of the company. I was a hairstylist, so I had them in the salon. But word of mouth, telling people if you get sales, then I can pay you the next month with the micro influencers. That seemed to work extremely well for the first 2 years. And then obviously we've pivoted now to wholesale because it's just really hard to get a hold of influencers, and I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars and not be promised any type of return.
Yeah. And what about the expansion into brick and mortar? Do you think you'd open your own store in your hometown, or?
I don't see the need for it right now. And that is also a big seller with my boutiques. There isn't a store that their clients that are coming in their store can just go find it. They can find them on my website, obviously, but they can't try them on. So the boutiques love that they're going to keep my top styles. And if they reach out to me, I can find a boutique in their town where they can go try them on.
Yeah. Well, what's the returns like on the glasses? Because I can imagine like ladies buying the glasses, people got different facial structures, etc. It looks, glasses are suitable. They sit on your face and they're suitable or not. And that goes for men as well, right? So is there a high level of returns for those? Because what may look good on you. The other person might have a different bone structure and it doesn't suit them the same. So do you get a lot of returns or?
No, not specifically for that reason. And again, I think that's because of the price point that I tried to keep, and that it's a reasonable enough price that if they don't like them on themselves, they might give them to their mom or their daughter or their cousin, and whoever comes over and likes them. It's not where they're like, I want my $300 back. I don't like these at all, or they didn't look like the website.
Yeah.
A very, very low percent. It's not something that even concerns me. I had one style that had some issues with damages just being shipped to the customer. That's going to happen with anything. It's not always sunshine and rainbows with every product that you pick, but just day to day, no, not very many returns.
What is the biggest problem that you faced in this business that's different from Amazon?
I guess, like I said, going into the wholesale thing, I go. So it's me, it's money for my time. I am there for 5 days. The people are actually meeting me, meeting the owner. That is kind of a pain in the butt to leave my kids 5 times a year for those 5 days, although it is only an hour away from my house, which is great. Eventually I would like that to not have to be me going, but I want the boutiques to meet me first, because there's something about them meeting the owner and like seeing the passion that I have behind it and the reason behind the name and things like that get them coming back every time and trusting you. Yeah. So I want to instill that, but that is kind of a hard thing.
And what advice would you give to Amazon sellers out there that are having it hard, margin compression and everything else, and they've not moved off of Amazon or attempted to go outside of selling on the marketplace? What advice would you give them in terms of the startup phase for Shopify?
It's really not that hard. I created my first website myself. Obviously, I've paid for someone to help me revamp it as we grew. But I just went out there and, like I told Justin, I wanted to learn it. And I started and I ordered the 8 products and just figured it out as I went. Most people are so terrified that it could fail. And I've had failures along the way. That's just part of owning any type of company. Yeah. But just do it. I mean, it's not that hard to learn if you're terrified of it. Once you get into it, you'll see that Shopify makes it very easy to set up your storefronts. Very easy to ship things to customers. There's so many apps that you can add on it to aid you in all of the problems that you're going to face. So you just have to start. That's the part.
Also, I should have asked you earlier, I imagine having 100 plus SKUs and mid 6 figures turnover, your MOQs are quite low in terms you haven't got to order thousands, right? So what's an average for you MOQs you order for a launch of a product?
About 300 units. And that's another part I love is I can have everything to my warehouse in like 17 days. Right. Yeah. So even if it's a custom product, I've known my suppliers long enough now that, they're very trustworthy and they're going to make it correctly. I'm not having to get a sample of every single thing. A picture will usually suffice. And that's a good lead time, I think, 17 days, and it's here. So can't complain with that either.
Excellent. Cool. What is the best way that people can reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram, Channing Dyson, ChannNDYSON. I do look at messages on there, but that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, and that I check most often. Excellent.
Guys, thank you for joining us today. Chan, lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us. Sharon will be up next. I'll be back next week. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you again soon.